The 49ers, the Eagles, the Bengals, the 49ers again, the Rams, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Seahawks, and the Broncos. These are 9 of the last 10 teams to have lost in the Super Bowl. And do you know what all of these teams have in common? They've all dealt with the dreaded Super Bowl hangover. Before we start the video, real quick, I would like to thank those of you who gave feedback on the last video from the bottom of my heart because it really means a lot. I work hard on these videos, so any feedback or support I receive, I really appreciate. And I would also like to thank those of you who subscribed. I only had 12 subs, now I'm getting close to 30. So you helped me double my sub count, and that really means a lot. But also, real quick, if you haven't subbed, please subscribe. I don't know how 99.1% of you guys are still not subscribed, so please subscribe. Anyways, onto the video. So what exactly is a Super Bowl hangover? It's the curse that the team that loses the Super Bowl has to deal with the following year. And trust me, most teams can't recover from it, unless your name is Patrick Mahomes. The guy is basically immune to curses at this point. He's shaken off not just Super Bowl hangover, but the Madden cover curse too, and the MVP curse. This guy's like the Avengers of NFL superstitions. And if you want me to dive into those curses more too, drop a comment below and let me know. Now, even though all NFL curses are technically just conspiracy theories, some of them actually have a bit of evidence backing them up. Let's talk about why this Super Bowl hangover thing might be a real thing. Okay, first, Super Bowl teams play a lot more football than teams that don't make it to the big game. Teams that get eliminated from playoff contention play for about 6 months. Teams that go a little bit deeper into the playoffs play for about 7 months. But teams that make it all the way to the Super Bowl, they're playing for about 8 months. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body, which leads to injuries. And these injuries, guess what? They often show up the next season. But it's not just physical strain. There's also the mental toll. Losing the Super Bowl can feel like a superhero season that got ruined. For some players and coaches, it's like they've peaked with that team, only to lose it all at the last second. That sense of failure often triggers something I like to call organizational depression. It can leave the team feeling like it's time to restart, time to rebuild from the ground up. And if they don't rebuild, they're stuck trying to find a way to motivate players who are emotionally drained, which, as you can guess, is really hard to do. And you might be thinking to yourself, that's horrible, and it can't get much worse. Well, guess what? It does! Yeah, the pressure of Super Bowl expectations can haunt a team long after the big game. When a team makes it to the Super Bowl, the entire world is watching, and suddenly, everyone expects them to either win it all or bounce right back to the top the following season. That expectation carries a huge weight. Teams who lose the Super Bowl might experience a shift in identity because they're no longer the underdog or the team of destiny. They're now the team that almost made it, and that's hard to shake. For teams that win, they've got the opposite problem. The Super Bowl victory comes with the massive expectations for a repeat, and when they inevitably fall short the next year, it's like a mental collapse from the weight of trying to stay at the top. The pressure of all these expectations, it can be absolutely crushing. Finally, there's one last reason. It's the fact that the roster itself changes a lot after a Super Bowl run. It's common for teams to see a lot of turnover, whether it's due to salary cap issues, free agency, or retiring players. The roster that made the Super Bowl might look very different in the following season. The kind of turnover that can create instability and force coaches to adjust. They might have to rely on younger players or bring in new faces who don't have the same chemistry. That can mess with the team's overall performance early on, especially when the roster is trying to find its rhythm again after being used to that championship caliber unit. So, you might be asking yourself right about now, is this really that common? And yes it is. That's why I'm talking about it right now. And if you're wondering why does this really matter, it's because how common it is. So, let's take a look at the last 10 Super Bowl teams. Out of those 10, only one team has managed to break the curse. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And yes, we all know Mahomes is basically a walking cheat code. But let's take a closer look at the others. After last year, the 49ers have been hit by injuries. The Eagles started strong but couldn't keep up last year. The Bengals, ever since they lost to the Rams, they haven't been quite the same. And then, of course, the 49ers again, who actually did pretty well after their first Super Bowl loss, but now they're facing major challenges. The Patriots didn't have much of an issue with their Super Bowl hangover, but let's be real, losing Tom Brady did not feel too great either. And then there's the Falcons, Seahawks, Panthers, and Broncos. These teams have been rebuilding ever since their Super Bowl losses, and they're still trying to get to their former glory and haven't really seemed to come too close to it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Or I actually don't know what you're thinking. I can't mind read, who knows. But you could be thinking, this could just be a trend. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe, but after looking at the data, it's hard to ignore. Then again, this could just be a conspiracy theory, just like everything else, and we've just all latched onto it. Who knows, anything is possible. So, who knows? Maybe none of this matters. But, hey, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and hit that bell icon if you want to get notified for future uploads.